Yo yo. So I'm working on a little lighting project here and fucking around with a LED Bluetooth enabled controller for this project. And I figured I'd record a little video on it. So what I got here is a little eBay special import straight from Shenzhen. This is a 12 to 24 volt LED controller, Bluetooth enabled, works with either iOS or Android phones. What you see here is you got voltage in and RGB control. Also does just pure white if you have white only LEDs. You can drive them off of this as well if you like. And just got it hooked into a pretty cool little weather rated LED strip. You can see you've got 3 RGB LEDs. Actually, yeah, it looks like 3 per section. And they've got cool little lines there where already pre-marked and solder pads right there. So if you want to hack this thing apart, it's already good to go. If you want to shorten it up, I think this one came in like a 25-foot length. Again, silicone coated for outdoor use, and comes with double stick tape pre-attached to the back, and cheapy little terminations on the end for you there if you want to use it in full length. So in any case, for this lighting project requires a multi-zone control setup, ideally wireless. I'd like to have a central power supply that I just have multiple controllers for each zone. That's kind of what I'm going for here. A couple of limitations to be aware of with the Bluetooth in specific. Obviously, range is the first thing that comes to mind. So these are only good up to an effective range of maybe 30 feet or so. I haven't really tested it any further out than that, but if you have walls and stuff like that it's going through, it's going to be a problem for you. Also, there's going to be a device limitation depending on what kind of device you're using. In my case, I'm using an iPhone, and I haven't tested it yet, but from the documentation, it looks like the limitation of simultaneous Bluetooth controller connections is going to be somewhere either 7 or 10 devices, depending on what literature you read. Again, I haven't tested that, but I assume it's at least 7 that I can control, a maximum of 10. So if you have a lot of different zones that you want to control, this may not be the best solution for you. They do make a Wi-Fi, similar company, I think it might even be the same manufacturer, makes a Wi-Fi version of this guy. And that guy you can just put on a subnet of its own little Wi-Fi subnet, and you could put up to, what, 254 controllers on each subnet or something like that. So theoretically endless amount of controllers with a Wi-Fi type setup. But Bluetooth, you might have some limitations. I'm going to go ahead and drive this guy off at 12 volt and see what it does. I want to keep it fairly low power. As I recall, if you drive LEDs at higher voltages, they'll just be brighter, so they'll take that higher wattage. They won't self-regulate the current. They're not a resistive load. Is that right? I don't know. Anyway, so we'll try it at 12 volts first and see what we get. So again, it's a Bluetooth device, so I'm just going to use my iPhone here, and there's an app. It's called Happy Lighting. Funny that. So the only way I've ever been able to get this guy to connect to the controller is actually by opening the app, and that seems to go out and seek the controllers. I don't know. Anyway, let's go ahead and power up our supply here. And you can see I got it already set to 12 volts, and for some reason this thing's been defaulting in a strobe mode, which is kind of strange, as you can see. It's like a violet or almost pink strobe. Whoa, that's making me a little ill. But you can see our current just jumping up and down right now. I have it on high range, so it's pulling almost 2 amps of flash. So in any case, oh, excuse me, gotta take care of something. Much better. Okay, so the app starts off with this little color wheel thing, and if you go into the left-hand menu, you can actually see all the different Bluetooth devices connected. You can see I only have one of them on. So here's our controller here. You can highlight that, and you can also create custom groups, which might be kind of handy for multi-zone type stuff if you want to have different controllers act in unison. In any case, we'll go ahead and select just that one guy there, and then you can see all of a sudden now I have full control over this guy. So once you connect and just go ahead and enable a feature. Usually it comes right out of that weird default strobe mode. In any case, we're set to red right now, so we can just literally drag this color wheel around in real time, and the LEDs just change. I mean, in more or less real time. Right? Certainly real time enough for me to believe it. Cool thing about these LEDs, again, is each one of them is an RGB LED, so you get the full calibrated color out of each LED, which is kind of neat, as opposed to having one red, one green, one blue, right? And you can see the marked segments here a little bit better with the solder pads already on there. I think I noticed in one spot, yeah, right there, there's a joint that they made where they joined these two strips together. So a couple other features of the app. Obviously you get some presets here. These are the default out-of-the-box presets. As you can see, you can kind of scroll through a couple different colors here. There you go. You also get voice activated, which is kind of cool. It pulses more to your voice than anything else, though. It doesn't really modulate anything except intensity based on volume, it seems like. The color just kind of scrolls. Anyway, kind of a neat feature. Then you have just kind of pre-programmed patterns. So here's a white gradual change, and you can change the speed where it just kind of fades in and out of a set color. Here's green-blue. Right. Here's 7-color strobe flash. Oh my god, seizure time! Blue strobe. You can slow that down too. See? So you get some pre-programmed stuff. Unfortunately, I don't think you can do any custom programming with this, which is kind of a bummer. You either set it to one of these preset things that they have, or you set it to a static color. You can set timers, which is a feature I haven't really played around with much yet, but it looks like it's basically just on-off timer, just like a straight up and down digital timer. Nothing too fancy there. Standard digital timer. You can't actually set the color or anything, which is kind of a bummer. And then last but not least, and kind of a neat feature, I guess, is it has like a music feature. So it'll pull music right off your playlists and put on a little light show for you. That's pretty good. It actually seems to modulate the colors faster and slower based on what the music's doing too. So seems a little more active than just the straight up and down voice control. So in any case, that is pretty much it for this guy. A cool little cheap LED controller, straight out of the bowels of eBay. I think it was like 30 bucks with shipping or something like that. And you get it claims you can push 10 amps through it, although I wouldn't dare to try and drive that much current through this little guy. But in any case, just for a couple amps, it seems to work pretty good. And I went ahead and, you know, scrolled through the colors on this guy, and that's most it seems to draw at 12 volts with this type of LED plugged in here. We don't get any more than, you know, 1.7, 1.8 amps, depending on what color we're on. So, in any case, there you go, El Cheapo eBay Bluetooth LED controller, and yeah, have fun.